Aren't we just so proud of Yoda? Oh my goodness. Thank you, Rochelle Pronzo. You say Cavalcante is now being held in a Pennsylvania maximum security. I really don't think he's going to get rec time, huh? Maximum security prison, State Correctional Institute, Phoenix in Montgomery County. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay, before we dive into these little updates, little bits of information that have come out today, we're going to go over what the Chester County District Attorney's Office has put out on Facebook. They put a written statement out so that we can just recap everything that happened with this capture. But I do want to highlight again what the case is about. You know, it's about the victims. So I've made a tribute, okay, and I'm going to be playing that for you now so that we could start this day off right. Okay, let's do that. Okay, thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed that as well, and I hope that the families can breathe a little easier knowing that Cavalcante is now back in prison, serving his sentence of life without parole like he should, and that he's not running around eating watermelon in the woods. Okay, also, sorry, I missed a few stickers there. Also to Jason Gibbs, welcome to membership. Thank you to Emma Rose, Sweet Dreams, and also to Joanna for the sticker. Really appreciate it. Okay, so let me first show you this quickly, which be this one, just so we can go over what the Chester County District Attorney's Office actually wrote and said again about the capture. This would be their statement on it. Yesterday we watched the press conference together. There's a whole playlist of this case. If you are not yet aware of what happened or you only just heard about it, you never know. Thank you also to all the locals. You guys are so sweet. You are spoiling me a lot. Thank you very much for all your lovely gifts that you are sending me. I really appreciate it. Okay, so here the Chester County District Attorney said local, state, and federal agencies capture Danelo Cavalcante. A perimeter... Are we going to say perimeter again after this ever? A perimeter was established in northern Chester County by the Pennsylvania State Police after tracking the fugitive to the area in the early morning of September 12th of 2023. In the early hours of September 13th, 2023, a series of events began to take place, beginning with a burglary alarm that sounded at a residence near Prizer Road within the perimeter. Dana, thank you so much. You say congratulations for a job well done. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Law enforcement immediately investigated the burglary but did not find Cavalcante. This event brought more units to this particular area. Tactical teams already nearby began to converge and search the surrounding area. DEA fixed-wing aircraft flying over northern Chester County utilized forward-looking infrared FLIR technology to scan and search from above. At around 1 a.m. on September 13th of 2023, this is obviously Pennsylvania time for everyone all over the world. So, just seeing that I'm not missing something. Thank you so much, Wayne. Really appreciate it. So this would all be local time, of course. They said around 1 a.m. on September 13th, 2023, the aircraft was alerted to a heat signature and began to track it. This heat signature was located west of PA 100 and north of Prizer Road. Tactical teams began to converge on that location where the heat source was moving. Weather systems alerted all law enforcement of an incoming storm approaching the area. I must say the weather was in this guy's favor quite a few times. There's a few times that he slipped through the perimeter. And if you look at the pattern of the times when he did that, it really was stormy nights. You know, it made it really difficult, of course, for the aircraft. Then had to leave the area. That happened a few times throughout this case. Jeff says, Jeff Pish Drums, thank you for all the great coverage. Us locals appreciate you. Thank you so much, Jeff. Really appreciate it. So yes, tactical teams began to converge there. And then the aircraft were forced to depart because of the weather. And then they said tactical teams decided to secure the smaller area and hold it through the storm until additional resources could be brought into the area and the aircraft could rejoin the search to ensure there'd be no issue or concern of escape. That must have been a very tough night, huh? Imagine it, like they're all sitting there in the woods in the storm, basically. Lightning and all. Kerry said such a beautiful tribute to his victims, Grizzly. You're keeping them and always them at the heart of cases is one thing that sets Grizzly True Crime apart from other YouTube and some other MSM mainstream media. Thank you so much, Kerry. Really appreciate it. I'll play it again later for anyone who missed it. Ben, welcome to Grizzly Supporter. Okay, and so they said the search resumed early on the morning of September 13th and shortly after 8 a.m. Tactical teams converged on the area where the heat signature was located. Tactical teams moved in quietly and had the element of surprise. Therefore, Cavalcante did not realize that he was surrounded. When Cavalcante became aware of the units in the area, he attempted to escape by crawling through thick underbrush, taking the stolen rifle with him. So he was outside. I see there's a lot of confusion. Was he in the barn? Was he in the shed? Was he outside? Was he in the logs, under the logs? He was outside and then tried to crawl under some logs. We're going to look at some clips so that you can actually see what they're talking about. All right, so that's what happened there. They caught him by surprise. Oh, man, that must have been quite a capture, huh? So they say a border control tactical unit, BORTAC. If you missed where we went over what BORTAC exactly is, check out the timestamps on some of the previous live streams so that you can go over that as well. Or just check the description boxes. I put the links in there for you as well. So BORTAC was moving in on the area, had a search canine, which was released. That canine's name is Yoda. Okay? There was another canine mentioned, Tucker, from a different case. And it's unfortunate that that they said that dog's name, but didn't say this dog's name, because then it got everyone confused all over the place. Social media was just like, yay for Tucker, but it wasn't Tucker. Okay? Yoda was this canine's name. And Yoda went in. And we're so proud of Yoda, and you're going to see lots of pictures as well of Yoda after this. So they said... they released the canine once Cavalcante showed signs of an attempt to flee. The dog was able to subdue Cavalcante, and team members from the Border Tactical Unit and the Pennsylvania State Police immediately moved in to capture the fugitive. Cavalcante did resist arrest, but was ultimately forcibly taken into custody. No one was injured during the arrest. Cavalcante did sustain a minor bite wound from the search canine, and medical personnel at the scene were able to examine him for any injuries. After being taken into custody, Cavalcante was transported to the Pennsylvania State Police Avondale Barracks for further processing and interviewing. Cavalcante will be transferred to a state correctional facility where he will be housed and will begin to serve his life sentence. Life without parole. Thank you, Wild Mustang. Really appreciate it. Then they said the Chester County District Attorney's Office would like to thank all law enforcement, first responders, local, state, and federal agencies that continue to work together in order to capture Danelo Cavalcante. The Chester County District Attorney's Office also thanks the community for their patience and vigilance, as well as their assistance in making tips and calls to authorities. Thank you so much. Okay, so, and we've seen this picture. We looked at it quite a bit yesterday. If this is your first time seeing it, check out yesterday's stream where we went over some of the, all the footage, the photos, and the press conference and everything. But don't worry, I've got lots of clips to show you today. So just in case you missed it yesterday, let me just quickly zoom out here. Go back into this area. Where he was captured was actually here by this Little's John Deere and Still shop, right? And so it was around this area. You could see all these, there's wood over here, and we're going to see some clips where they actually show, they talk about a pond as well. So somewhere in this area, he was hiding outside at the time when they swooped in on him. Okay, so just in case you missed that. So now, let me play the clips for you. Here we go.
Yeah, so behind me here.
Okay, I might have to get myself out the way and I put Yoda. Look at Yoda. That's Yoda, everyone. Oh my word. A 4-year-old Belgian Malinois. Is that how we say that? I'm still trying to figure out exactly. I'm sure in French it will be like Malinois. Belgian Malinois. So 4 years old. I've seen on social media they also sometimes say maybe... I actually think it was the deputy marshal guy that said maybe 3 years old. But apparently Yoda is 4 years old. And yes, I hope that Yoda got a steak. Okay, so let me just quickly resize so you can see nicely. And I'll put myself here. Okay. Stefan's like, hello, Yoda. Okay. Yeah, Yoda is so beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to play these clips for you.
Behind me here in this grassy area near the wood line, as well as in these large logs behind this tractor company, is where much of this capture actually went down, just off Route 100. To give you some context, that's the far eastern edge of the perimeter they set up. I want to zoom in here and show you the location. You can see this is the kind of terrain that they have been talking about for 2 weeks now. Really dense wooded area. You see that brush. And then if you look over to the left here, John, we'll pan over, you can see these logs. We're told in part of this capture he was trying to get under these logs as well to try to make his escape before police were able to move in with those tactical units. And of course, that canine dog you heard so much about just there that helped in this capture. We also spoke with the manager of this John Deere tractor supply company. He and his employees watching as this whole thing went down. Take a listen.
So we were watching from the loading dock, and we basically just saw them storming checking the tree lines, checking the stream, and out of nowhere, everybody started to congregate back by the shed, and here they were already bringing him out, and then we watched him basically walk him up. One camouflage trooper had his gun, his rifle, and then they were walking him up, and they basically, EMS's kind of worked on him in the parking lot, and they loaded him up.
Back here live, more of that dense wooded area just off Route 100. Speaking with the...
Like, let me just pause it for a second. Look at it. Really dense wooded area. So thank goodness for that thermal imagery, so that they could see him and track him, and good job on them getting him, because he was really on the eastern border of that perimeter that they had set up. And he said that he had planned to actually carjack someone the next day, which is what we were saying in chat, that's the problem now with when he had a 22 caliber rifle, that, oh no, now he can actually do that. He could actually threaten someone and carjack them. So yes. Okay. Kerry said Yoda would need something to get the taste out of his mouth. Yes, Yoda looks so happy in so many of the photos, like, yeah, I got him. I did it. I just love the face. It's like, There's some more pictures that I have in these clips as well. Yeah, thank you so much. Melanois. Melanois. Thank you, Gina Buttercup Dreams. Okay, so continuing on.
Manager of this company, he also told me that his employees, had obviously known about this situation for days with the containment zone and having to be extra precautious. But they said overnight there was a property behind this tree line where around 2:30 this morning there was some sort of either sighting or 911 call placed, as well as the discovery of a backpack. So they had an idea, especially when those troopers started flooding this area right around 8 o'clock this morning. Just before that, that's when he realized this was going down, this was real. And then, of course, they just watched from right there. That is the loading dock, if we can zoom over and show you, where they watched this.
This cameraman is like all over the place in this one. I will put the links to these sources for you if you want to watch them as they are, where they are. So I put a whole bunch of clips and things together here for you today. And so that's what I'm showing you, and we're chatting about it in between. I might interrupt a little bit. So those that are like, just play it. Listen. I made the clip, so we're going through it, okay? But here, in this one, the cameraman's all over. So, but hopefully, okay, you'll be able to see the general area there, and you'll eventually see when they pan back now, the logs that he was like trying to crawl under as well. And then they're like, okay, send in the canine. Yoda, off you go. And Yoda went in.
Entire capture take place, and then he was put into that armored vehicle and then driven south to the Pennsylvania State Police Barracks in Avondale, where Cavalcante is now being interviewed according to PSP, and then eventually transferred to a more secure state facility.
So an interview was...
Okay, so here is this is an interview with the deputy of the U.S. Marshals, and giving a lot of details about Cavalcante, because an interview was conducted with him for over 4 hours, and he shared a lot of information. He might even be a little bit proud of himself, don't you think? Because they're like, wow, he was just so cooperative, and he gave up so much information. Sometimes they do. He might be like, okay, let me tell you. So surviving, okay, on watermelon. I'm like, what? Watermelon. Okay, we're going to hear that. You're going to hear some things, and wow, he was just spilling all the tea of what he did out there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Annette says, gee, you are a superstar. Everyone out there is finding out what I've known for a long time. Way to go. Thank you so much. Toy White says, do we know if Loki ever got to go back on the hunt after his treatment? I'm not sure, and I believe that Loki was part of the PSP canines, and I think that Yoda was part of BORTAC. So when they went in with those tactical teams, yeah, I think that's maybe why Loki wasn't there, but I'm not too sure. Okay, continuing on.
Conducted with Cavalcante, Deputy U.S. Marshals, Pennsylvania State Police, and county detectives interviewed him. I personally was not present for the interview, but I can tell you what was said, which was relayed to me from our deputy marshals. So essentially, everything we thought about Cavalcante and his flight was true. He was a desperate man. He was actively avoiding apprehension. And shortly after he escaped from the prison, he had hunkered down in an area that was very, very secluded, very, very wooded. And he didn't move for the first couple of days, he said. He survived on a watermelon that he found at a farm. He had drank stream water. He was hiding his fecal matter on...
Yeah. But surviving on watermelon from a watermelon patch, why does he not mention the apples, peaches, and snap peas? We all know you had snap peas, or well, we don't actually know. We don't have conclusive evidence of it, but who else is going to burgle a house and turn the lights on and off 5 times? That was weird. Also, it does sound like, you know, he ditched his backpack out there. So I wonder if that was like a decoy, just to be like, I'm just going to leave my backpack here and they're going to think I've left the area or something. I believe now it was his backpack that they found. We heard it on the scanner, and they were talking about food being in it. So that's weird. He probably just thought, no, decoy maybe for the dogs or something. Okay.
Leaves and foliage so that law enforcement couldn't track him. He was a desperate man. He also described the backpack that he obtained was obtained early in his flight. He had taken it from a residence. And that's where he obtained a razor. I know a lot of people have talked about, how did he get so clean shaven? Did somebody assist him? Well, quite simply, that razor was in the backpack.
The razor was in the backpack just by luck. No one helped him shave. He had a razor in the backpack. It's so weird how he used it later, you know, unless he probably stole it then. You know, when we saw him on the Deere cam, those pictures, he probably took the backpack after that or what? Although he was seen there with a backpack. I wonder if he took another backpack. But he had a razor in there. Maybe he's like, one day, yes, later I'm going to be changing my entire appearance. And he also braided his hair. So, okay then.
So he answered a lot of questions for us. And he also described an increasing amount of law enforcement every day. And that goes for both perimeters. And ultimately, that's why he decided to leave the Longwood Gardens area. He said that on numerous occasions, 3 times he described that law enforcement officials almost stepped on him within 7 or 8 yards. 3 times. But that just proves to you how thick the vegetation and the foliage was. It was just an immense...
I hope you caught that. They almost stepped on him 3 times. That's how close they were. That's unbelievable. He was hiding. That's how thick the brush was as well. 3 times. He says they almost stepped on him. That's... Imagine stepping on him. Just oh, whoops, what? That would have been so classic. What a capture that would be like, oh my word, I stepped on him. What? I'm sure the canines were with him the whole time, right? Okay, so continuing on.
Area to search. I don't think the public understands how hard it was in extreme heat and extreme conditions to locate him.
So, so much to follow up with you here, Deputy Clark, but this issue with the razor, when you're saying how did people wondering how he shaved. So you're literally saying it was just luck, that he finds a backpack and there's a razor in the backpack, that was just luck.
You can't make it up, Aaron. We specifically asked him that question. How did he get clean shaven? And he said there was one in the razor in the backpack that he took. We still don't know the exact place where he took that backpack, nor do we know the exact location that he took the Eagle sweatshirt as well.
They cut that Eagles sweatshirt right off. They're like, how dare you? Okay, that's not why. But people are like, yes, cut that right off. Sorry, now I made a typo. 877 Swiss Miss. Some people do ask, what are snap peas? It's sugar snap peas. And that's what that one guy said. We watched two of his interviews. Said that someone broke into his house. They were in the kitchen. He could hear someone downstairs. He didn't know, didn't have a weapon by him there, so he thought, should I, throw my picture frame, or what should I do? And then he thought, you know what, I'm going to switch the light on and off 5 times. But then the weird thing is, because he knew someone's in his kitchen, the person in the kitchen also turned the light off downstairs, on and off, on and off, on and off. That's so weird. And then he said, when they saw him leave, and when they later went downstairs to look, well, what the hell was that all about? Somebody had stolen apples, peaches, and snap peas. That's what they said. So that's what we're talking about, snap peas. And we called him Little Snappy. Okay, so continuing on. Can you believe that he was like, remember we had some light humor along the way, which helped us get through many long days where we were like, he's probably sitting just outside of the perimeter in the moonlight eating blackberries or snappies, but he was literally hiding out eating watermelon. This guy, my word.
Right. Okay. So you're still not exactly sure, but obviously it sounds like he's admitting he was going in people's homes, whether they were unlocked or there, but he was stealing stuff when he could.
Yes, he was. He actually said that he was going to steal stuff where there was opportunity. He was a desperate man that was going day to day in order just to survive. An interesting statement he said also was that his end game was to carjack somebody and to head north up to Canada. And he intended to do that in the next 24 hours. He said the law enforcement presence where he was immense, and that he felt that he needed to leave. He had seen the aerial assets we were using. He had seen the helicopters. So that's why he held on to that rifle for so long.
And
Canada. I think he would be a little cold there, don't you think? He was like Canada or Puerto Rico. Those were apparently the two areas he was thinking about going. Very different areas, but he's like, Canada. Canada will do. Again, I'll say he was thinking of going north, not south. Puerto Rico, sure, south. But he's like, yeah, okay, Canada. Within 24 hours, carjack someone and try to get to Canada. Like, oh, wow. Okay. Thank you, Pickle Toes Grandma. You say Yoda is from El Paso, Texas, trained by a Border Patrol agent. Yoda is a member of the El Paso Tactical Force. Yoda is not from Michigan. A lot of people are reporting that Yoda is from Michigan, but yeah, they do. I've seen conflicting reports. I think they actually talk about it here. We'll listen very carefully, okay? So let's continue on.
And did you said that he survived on stream water and watermelon. Did you talk about anything else about how he was able to obtain food?
No, it was just the watermelon, the stream water. We didn't get too much into what else he was eating, but we were interested in the part about the carjacking and the rifle and his intentions and the end game.
Did he give you? Did you learn anything more about that rifle? And I know there'd been, whether his willingness to use it.
No, but we did learn that before he went into that gentleman's house, that he had actually surveilled it. And he had said he had surveilled the perimeter, where he broke the perimeter at Longwood Gardens for a little while. And he had also surveilled the residence where he stole the truck at Dairy Farms. He said when he stole that truck, there were actually 2 vehicles that were unsecured there. He decided to take one of them and then flee to an area that he knew.
So if you missed this during all those live streams, this is literally if you go to Baily's dairy farm in that Longwood Gardens area, on Google Maps, when we put the little Google man down, we could see the actual vans, and he stole one of them. Yes, he was just outside of the perimeter that time. Yes, indeed. So that's in case you haven't noticed, I've overlaid a whole bunch of things so that I can keep this as interesting as possible for you, so we could see all the visuals. It's like two birds, one stone. We're seeing all the capture visuals and everything in little details while we're listening at the same time. Okay.
So one thing that as you described this, Deputy Clark, that's standing out to me is that he answered the questions, that he seems like he wanted to answer the questions. What was his demeanor like in this interview? I mean, this is a person who was going to be in prison forever, and then he thinks he's going to maybe escape, and now he's back to knowing that.
By the way, mugshot time. We saw it in the beginning of the stream, but this is the latest mugshot.
That's that he's not going anywhere, and yet he seems to have answered all the questions.
That's correct. He was under no duress when he answered the questions. There were professional deputy marshals there, state troopers. He was treated with the utmost professionalism and respect. And he just answered everything that was given to him. He had no hesitation. We found him to be very truthful. And everything that we wanted to know, all the gaps in the investigation, the questions that we had and the public had, we were able to get most of the answers from.
And did he give you any more details about his actual escape?
Okay, we're going to just pause it there. Hello to Phil Grimaldi. You say, hey, Gisela, thanks for the extensive coverage on this case. The subject escaped from jail just a couple of miles from where my daughter goes to school. Very scary. Wow, that is very scary. I hope that everyone in the area can breathe much easier. I hope that you guys have a nice weekend. I know the previous weekend was actually Labor Day weekend, and I'm sure it wasn't all that enjoyable in the area, huh? Because it was just so tense. We were all there with you in spirit if we weren't local, but I'm sure that you guys feel very relieved that he's now been captured. I'm still I think it's amazing that he was actually captured and alive. So shocking. I thought they might catch him, but not that he would not really be taken back to prison. I mean, that's just incredible. He's actually in a jail, the Chester County Prison, which is a jail, but now is in a prison. Life without parole. Oh, yes. And I really think we won't hear much about it. He probably won't get much rec time. Not for a long time. He was very naughty. Okay, so continuing on, yes, you can see him in his little gown here. And, of course, before he had his shoesies that he lost along the way. If you missed that, he was running through the mud in his Chester County jail white shoes, the Velcro strap ones. They got lost at some point because, they got stuck in the mud and they were waterlogged, so he left them there. He got rid of that green sweatshirt as well. And then he entered that house at Coventryville Road and stole that 22 caliber rifle. Remember that? He must have stolen that Eagle sweatshirt somewhere as well. Like, when was that? I wonder, they'd said when the burglar alarm went off, it wasn't a burglary, it was just an alarm that went off. That's what they said at the press conference. So I wonder where he stole that as well. But yeah, here they're literally making him firewalk a little bit first. It's like over the hot tar. I don't know how hot it is there, right now on the tar at this time of day. I don't know, but he's walking barefoot here. Yes, and he's got a little step and everything, to get in the back of the truck. So Bruno Jones says, why isn't his head shaved? I don't know.
Those images we saw where he's crab walking or moonwalking backwards up the wall when he gets out.
Sure. So we did not question him about the escape. We were more concerned about the flight and the fugitive part of the investigation. So our deputy marshal did not question about the escape at all.
So let me ask you one other thing about, you say, the razor, right? That was in the actual backpack, and he's saying he didn't have help. I know.
I think the tar would be hot, not? They're like, you're going to firewalk a little bit first, and then you're going to get your prison Crocs when you get there. Oh, man. I think that was one of his mistakes, of course, was getting rid of the shoes. Even maybe they weren't working properly for him anymore. But getting those huge boots that he was wearing, I'm sure that slowed him down as well, right? Oh, man.
Today that Lieutenant Colonel Bivens confirmed that Cavalcante's sister, right, who they're now moving ahead with deportation procedures, did try to assist him about his escape. And when you and I talked last time, you said she was important, but you couldn't disclose anything at the time. But afterwards, you would be able to. And now that of course he is captured, are you able to tell us more about how she was helping him or trying to help him?
Well, what I can tell you was she was an illegal overstay. There were times where she was less than candid with law enforcement officers, and we believe at the other times she was giving us information that was not credible.
So apparently his sister didn't really help him. Like, she may have attempted to, and she wasn't giving credible information, as they're saying. So they decided, that's it, you're gonna be held. She had an overstay, right? So they've started the deportation process with her. Harley Ryder said his head will be shaved in prison, not jail. Jail is basically a holding area. Oh, thank you. Yes. So yeah, from you guys asking from this mugshot, right? Yeah. So now it will be. Okay. Just look at Yoda. What a hero.
So rather than pursue obstruction charges, we decided to take her out of the equation, and she was detained by ICE. It just was too much of our time and resources to look into pursuing her criminally. So we just decided to eliminate her from the situation.
So
Also, sometimes I'm surprised I gotta really state the obvious. MSS was like, it's not a dress. It's a hospital gown. I know. I was just calling it a little dress for a second. I know it's a hospital gown. Okay, we're good. Look at that picture, guys. Some of those pictures I've shared a lot on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's going to become the new slogan. X, formerly known as Twitter. Anyway, a lot of pictures have been shared on there as well. If you haven't seen them all, of course, you can also just Google Danelo Cavalcante capture and see a whole bunch of them. But man, Yoda was so proud. Just look at Yoda. Yoda in the corner is like, yeah, I got him. I did that.
in the final moments, and I'm honing in on something you said that he said in the interview today, that there were 3 times that law enforcement officers almost stepped on him. You said that they were 7 to 8 yards away. I mean, that is pretty incredible to imagine. And he's lying there hiding. Eventually, when this finally was resolved, when you got him, it was a dog. It was a canine named Yoda that helped capture Cavalcante, was crucial, in fact, to all of this. Can you tell us more about the dog named Yoda and what the dog did?
So I can tell you that dog was stationed out of Detroit, Michigan.
So they said that dog was stationed out of Detroit, Michigan. So that's what they said. So we've got to take that for what it is, right? Okay. Yes, Jeepsla said news outlets all say Detroit BORTAC office. But they could all be wrong. I'm sending dog treats to all BORTAC offices for their canines. Only like 6 officers. That is so sweet. Oh, this chat is being naughty. Come on, chat. I want to put up new comments. There we go. That is so cool. Okay, continuing there.
Part of
Look
the
at the picture.
tactical team who was stationed out of Michigan. I believe he's 3 years old. He's a Belgian Malinois, and he was just essential as far as the tracking and the searching, as were numerous other canines that were here. We had other Malinois, we had German Shepherds, we had a Bloodhound. So all these canine resources were utilized from different tactical teams from the area, and they were just an incredible resource.
I mean, it's incredible. So what did Yoda actually do? And I again, to remind everybody that at the time when he was apprehended and Yoda's instrumental in this, Cavalcante has a rifle, I understand, within his possession, within arm's reach.
That's correct. So upon the BORTAC officers and the Pennsylvania State Police SERT team closing in on that heat signature Lieutenant Colonel Bivens talked about,
yes,
one of the BORTAC officers physically observed Cavalcante. At that time, verbal commands were given. Cavalcante attempted to flee by slowly pawing away.
He's like, oh crap, start crawling. And in went Officer Yoda. Look at those boots. Way too big for him. Way. But look at Yoda's face there. It's like, yeah. Yoda looks so tired and so proud in a way. Like, yeah, I did that. Got him. Love it.
The tactical decision made, I'm assuming by BORTAC and the state police, was to deploy that canine. We knew that he was armed, and using a canine we felt was a reasonable option before upgrading to deadly force. As Yoda moved in on Cavalcante, I believe the only thing showing at the time was Mr. Cavalcante's head, or the crown of his head. He ended up taking a bite on the top of his head, which I know a photo has been going out around with a lot of blood. And that's the reason why the blood was there, because he took a bite towards the top of his head. Now, canine is a bite and hold dog, so there was no...
Jeeps was like, got your face. And I believe these types of dogs are trained to You know, once they bite, once they've got the subject subdued, they don't let go until told to. So Yoda got him. Yoda bit him. Yes, and look at all the braids as well. My goodness. Also, I think remember, I'm from South Africa living in the Netherlands. So tell me if I'm wrong. But I think obviously it differs per state, whether when they arrive at a prison, if they're going to shave their heads or not. I remember that Burgos's head was shaved. Okay, I'm not sure if they can shave his right now. They're probably gonna, even though it's gonna hurt, right? Ooh, that's gonna sting. But sometimes they do when they arrive, and then afterwards, they don't like keep it like that, right? Okay, so yeah, did any of you? Lali saying, "Whoa, Nelly, is this the first time you see this picture?" There's actually a worse picture. I'm not gonna show it now again, but look at this, and I just can't believe he was out there eating watermelon, drinking from streams, and braiding his hair. While all this was going on. Like, wow, hiding pretty well. His height, his 5 foot, actually helped him a lot, to stay hidden. Beth in Alaska, welcome to Grizzly supporter.
Holding when you bite someone on the crown of your head. So Cavalcante was again bit in the lower extremity area. Yoda held, and then Mr. Cavalcante submitted to the commands, and he was taken into custody by an approaching SERT team from the Pennsylvania State Police, as well as the BORTAC team. And Yoda was actually stationed in Detroit, Michigan with the board.
So they're saying it again. I hope you caught that. He wasn't only bitten on the head, also in the lower extremities. I'm like, oh, shame. He got bitten where it hurt. Okay, so this is now different interview with News Nation. Lots of interviews being done. I'm sure more will come out as well. Send them to me if you want. I'm also looking at all of them. I'm not sure we'll go. I don't know. If there's no new information, we probably won't go over them, after this. But it's always interesting to see. We shall see. Nicole Rico said, I just read his mom said he had no... Oh, yeah. We went over that yesterday. If you missed the snark, my snark on that topic, there's nothing that gets me more snarky than that. So go check it out from yesterday, okay? You might enjoy that. I just read his mom said he had no choice but to M his girlfriend and defends his choice. I love my son, but there's always another choice and there's no excuse for what he did. As a mom, I'm sick. I know, right? How could she say he had no choice but to? That was terrible. Okay, we're not going to go there again. Don't get me going again. Let's continue on.
BORTAC team that is in Michigan and travels up to Buffalo quite often. So we're learning quite a lot about that. That dog was a hero today. And we're just very grateful that he could have joined in the investigation. So, Chris, what happened was he was taken to the state police barracks. Deputy marshals who were involved in the investigation, PA State Police investigators, as well as county investigators, went to interview him, and we didn't know what to expect. We took a Brazilian law enforcement interpreter, and we asked if he wanted to talk, and he did. And we wanted those holes in this future investigation filled. We wanted answers. So some of the things that he talked about was after he escaped, he didn't move very far. He stayed in the same area for the first 3 days. He was able to obtain watermelon on some farm. He drank stream water, and he would only hide in thick thickets.
Mr. Grizzly was sitting here in my office when I was preparing these clips for you, and when he heard that, he repeated, it's like thick thickets. And he didn't move for the first 3 days. Just remember, I think it was the first 2 days or so, the district attorney's office was in charge of this, and they're like, don't worry, we'll get him, and eventually PSP joined. So, but yeah, for the first 3 days or so, he just stayed in the same area, according to himself. That's what he said. David G, thank you so much, really appreciate it. Ooh, Abracadabra says, good chance ticks in lower extremities too. Oh, no. They had to check him for ticks and everything. I'm surprised that yeah, well, maybe he did get bitten by ticks. How do we know? Spiders, snakes, ticks, anything like that? Bears. Okay, continuing on.
Unless you stepped on him, nobody would find him. And as a matter of fact, he did say on 3 occasions, law enforcement officers did almost step on him. They were about 7 to 8 yards away from him. So we believe he was brutally honest. He described things such as hiding his fecal matter under leaves so that we couldn't detect him. He talked about that backpack that was in some of the pictures that you have seen. And when we asked him about how did he get clean shaven or who was helping him, he said there was one razor in that backpack. So that answered a lot of questions. We found him credible. He also said that he would conduct surveillance on places he wanted to go, such as breaks in the perimeter, such as the residence where he stole the car, and such as the residence where he stole the firearm. He was very candid with us, and he said the reason he left the first perimeter was because the law enforcement presence was just too immense. We all.
It's just, that statement just made me laugh when I first heard it. I'm like, he left because, you know what, the law enforcement presence, it was just too much. It's almost like it was just too much for him. It was just getting a little bit intense. So he decided, I'm just going to move out of here. I'm just not going to stay in this perimeter anymore. The way they worded it is just so funny. Ooh, Carrie said the plaits of braids would have been great for Yoda to grip onto a Plus, maybe saying dogs are elsewhere for security reasons. Yes. Let me just see what comment I missed there. Maya says, love Yoda. Look at him holding his legs. Lol, they should have given Yoda just a few more minutes with him. Yeah, Yoda did good.
Almost caught him a couple times there, and he felt that he needed to go. He scoped out a spot in the perimeter he wanted to get across. He scoped out a residence where he believed there may be some vehicles, and he took advantage of that. And that was the same thing with the second perimeter. He said that law enforcement officers on a day-to-day basis, there were just more and more of them. He noticed aerial assets. He noticed the helicopters. And I guess his spidey senses were tingling. He wanted to.
It's a bit odd because one would think the perimeter, I know it had some vulnerabilities, but he still managed to break through a few times there. You know, I just love the way they're wording it. Like, it was just too much for him. And he saw, whoa, no, there's too much activity in the air. It's just too many officers around there. I'm going to make a break for it. But he actually managed to. That's what's amazing. He actually managed to. Mary said, what exactly do they mean he did surveillance? I don't know. Scoped out the area, looked up in the sky, like, oh, man. Yeah. Yes, 420 user says, I live an hour away from Chester, Pennsylvania. Glad this is over. I think we're all so glad this is over, right? It was so intense and so scary because the more things escalated, I mean, with him then getting a rifle, that got really scary because the risk always was a hostage situation and him killing more people, hurting families. Like Gonzalo Lopez killed a family of 5. I mean, and they get more and more desperate the longer they're out there. That was scary. So I'm so glad. I'm so relieved as well. Right here from the Netherlands. I'm just like, sure, could breathe easy too. So imagine all of you guys that are local. Oh, man.
I feel so relieved and happy. And I went around and every trooper that I saw, I thanked them from the bottom of my heart. He was down in this area.
Okay.
On the creek.
Nearby residents like Linda Rafe-Snyder have been awake since early this morning after state police say a neighbor's alarm went off and the SWAT team descended on the area.
There were 3 officers that came in and they wanted to search the house. So
5 o'clock this morning.
5 o'clock this morning. The officer that was at the door this morning said that they had seen him in our yard.
When law enforcement told you, we've seen Cavalcante in your yard, what goes through your mind?
Fear, nervousness. I mean, it's like really happening.
Doug Brewer, who owns a landscaping and tree services business just yards away from where a canine helped authorities nab Cavalcante, was here when he emerged from the woods.
Kind of looked defeated, really.
Law enforcement had swarmed him.
Yeah. I think he got bound up in the brush back there and he couldn't get out.
Describe for me what that's been like the past few days to be on lockdown with your family.
I think it was more difficult on my wife because she just felt the stress a lot more than I did.
Robert Russell, a father of 4 who lives in the search area, explains someone, either state police or perhaps Cavalcante, got into his barn this week.
The barn door had been opened a couple of times on and off, and so we had called in the tip line and just said, hey, our barn door doesn't swing open.
You can see the pond through here.
I do. As for Linda Rafe-Snyder, this morning she knew state police would get the job done.
The helicopter just kept circling and circling and circling, so I felt that they were on to something.
It was close. It was imminent.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I just quickly want to see. I believe Yoda had blood on his paws. It must have been a ferocious capture. Yoda got him. I just love it when he's like trying to crawl away with the rifle. That could have escalated quickly. They're like, okay, release the canine. And in goes Yoda and saves the day. That's just amazing. Wow. I've got one more clip that I found right before I went live. So it wasn't included in my clips here, but it is over here. Wait. Yes. Okay. Let's resize that for you. Just to show this area where he was captured. Just one more clip here. Okay, wait. Now I got to put the sound on. Sorry. There we go.
Good afternoon, Natasha. The store manager here at this tractor dealer says that he was standing right here on this loading dock when he saw what looked like Border Patrol walking into the woods with a canine. He says 15 to 20 minutes later, he saw law enforcement come out of the woods with Cavalcante in custody.
Somewhere down in that vicinity.
Jim Martin shows us the exact spot where he saw escaped inmate Danelo Cavalcante emerge from the woods in handcuffs.
It was unbelievable. It was exciting at the same time, but you know, how does anybody expect to watch it and be right there when it happens? It was just sure luck to be at the scene.
The woods are right behind Little's, a tractor dealer on Pottstown Pike, where Martin works as a store manager. He says he was standing 30 to 40 feet away as police led the fugitive into an armored truck.
He looked very tired. He looked soaked, like he was either in the stream or soaked from the rain last night. He just looked like drenched.
Martin took these photos showing a massive police presence at his business when he arrived at work this morning. He says he knew Cavalcante was near when he got a text message from his neighbor.
The neighbor behind the property here, her property was searched between 1:30 and 2:30 this morning. Thermal cameras supposedly picked up a heat signal somewhere on her property. So they did a sweep of her house, and I guess that's where they started to narrow him in to an area, but it's literally right behind the stream.
With Cavalcante in custody, Martin commends law enforcement on a job well done.
Here, this is like mountainous, dense. They did their job. They did exactly what they needed to do. Anybody feels it took too long, tough. If you don't know what it's like growing up in the woods, you shouldn't expect to know how easy this was.
Martin says that yesterday he couldn't even open shop because police had the entire road in front of his business shut down. He says he's glad that life can finally get back to normal. Live in South Coventry.
Right, I'm sure all of you guys that are local, how does it feel? If you're local, tell me. How does it feel to now be like, oh my word, we can breathe easier again? Sure. I mean, I'm relieved as well. Yes, so CM said, who gets the reward? I don't know. I really wonder if the lady who called in a tip to say that she thinks she sees him crouching by the side of the road, that's what helped them go to that area. For about 24 hours, it sounded like, you know, from when that tip was called in, then they started tracking in that area, and then they got the heat signal, and they continued to track him, and then there was a storm and everything we've gone over. I just wonder, like, if she gets any part of the tip, you know? So, but very, very interesting case as well. I'm still going to show you that tribute one more time. Just know if you did subscribe during this manhunt, you're a Grizzly. You're part of us now. Welcome to this community. If you do like the format that I do, it's generally what I do. We look at press conferences, presentations. We love bullet points over here, timelines. Also cover trials sometimes. And I'm actually continuing to watch that Gareth Pursehouse trial. I'll bring you updates when I can. So far, there's nothing too interesting yet to share. I've got to bring you lots of bits so you don't have to watch all of it, okay? So we'll do that sometime as well. But if you like that kind of stuff, a little bit of snark where appropriate, then yes, welcome. I hope you'll stay. Okay, so I want to show you just one more time the tribute that I made for the victims of Danelo Cavalcante. Because I see there's a little bit of a pattern happening, you know, on social media where people are starting to feel almost like sorry for him, especially since his mother said he was working shining shoes since he was 5 and they grew up really poor, and then he worked on farms since he was 7, and you know, just the bloody head photos, and people are starting to have empathy for him. I've made a whole speech about that on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can empathize with him as a child, but at the moment when he is an adult and murdering people, that's where the empathy stops. You draw the line, no empathy for the adult Danelo Cavalcante, you know? So never forget the victims. They lost their lives absolutely horrendous. I mean, I feel so sorry for Deborah's kids, and it seems like Valter also may have kids. I'm not too sure, but he is pictured on his own Facebook page with kids as well. Either way, there's family and friends out there who were really upset, of course, like that. What an injustice that he was running around, that he escaped a prison. I mean, remember, he was sentenced to life without parole on August 22nd of 2023. And then he escaped on August 31st. Wow. Candy says, is Grizzly going to show... my name is Gisela. I know it's Grizzly to Crime, but is Gisela going to show the ride to the prison, or did she already do that? We showed some of that yesterday. I've shown some clips of that today as well. Today, I really wanted to bring you that he was surviving on watermelon and drinking out of the streams and all the other details they gave that I don't want to repeat now again. We went through all of that, but yeah, I wanted to just give you some of those details, debrief a little bit, talk about the case, ask how you guys are feeling, especially if you're local. Breathe. If you haven't remembered yet, just breathe, okay? So, let me play this for you here. Wait, I have to move myself out the way. I was trying to do that real quick. Valter Jr. Moreira dos Reis. He was murdered in Brazil in 2017, November 5th of 2017. And his birthday is actually March 9th, same as mine. Yes. Okay, so this is the tribute that I made for the victims in this case. I'm also going to be sharing it on X afterwards. So if you are on there, if you're part of the Grizzlies over there, please do feel free to share it as well, repost it, all of that. Okay, I'm glad you guys have no empathy for the cold-hearted murderer. Very nice, yes. So please never forget them. That is what the case was always about, justice for the victims. And, you know, poor Valter and his family didn't get justice because he's a suspect in that case. He's not been convicted of Valter's murder. But he fled the country. There's an active arrest warrant for him in Brazil. So if he did go back there, yeah, they could have him arrested immediately. But it's just so sad that they, you know, lost their lives so young. I wasn't sure of exactly what Deborah's birthday was, so I didn't put that on there. I didn't want to mess it up because I've seen 2 different dates. Don't want to mess it up. Okay, so thank you so much all for following this case with me. I mean, do you remember we covered it a week ago on a Sunday is when I started covering it. I just saw it a little bit. I just saw an article or 2, you know. Google was letting me know something was up, and I'm like, like, why is no one talking about this? This is so hectic. Oh, my word. This is so scary. So do you remember the first day we covered it? It was meant to be like presentation time. Let's look at all the press conferences, and then we'll keep following it. And then that day, they said they had him surrounded. That was on day 4. They're like, we have him surrounded. They're moving in. We started listening to the scanner on that day and looking at the flight radar and everything. And we really thought that, like, whoa, they're going to catch him on this live stream right here. So at some point, it was like, oh, my word, this is the live capture of Cavalcante. Well, that was day 4. Wow. We went all the way to day 14 of this manhunt. What a case it's been. So thank you so much to all my moderators. Thank you for everything you do. And to all my patrons. If you haven't yet checked out Patreon, please do. There's also some posts on there of Fury who we've just checked into a cat hotel, and he looks so adorable. He's so cute. It's a 5-star cat hotel, so he's very happy. So thank you to everyone who spoils Fury. And also to all the members, just know that there will probably be a members-only stream soon again. So I'll keep you posted. Maybe it'll even be from a really nice location. Mysterious location where we're going for the weekend. You just never know. Keeping you on your toes. So I really appreciate you all following this coverage with me. If you haven't yet checked out the other episodes, everything is timestamped for you, so you can look in the pinned comments, the description box, or you can also just hover over the video. I hope that you guys know how to do that. Yesterday I was reading on X, formerly known as Twitter, that some people don't know where the description box is either. Now I'm going to see myself. Hold on. I just really want to show you something. Let me just show you something quickly before we go, okay? Just hang in there for a second. If you're already a pro, don't worry about it. But this was where we were looking at that press conference, right? So if you don't know, the description box is pretty important. You got to be able to find it. You know why? Because there's lots of information there for you. So if you go down, it should be right there and click on more, and you can see all the things. So you see intro, scanner message, the footage of his capture. It's all linked there for you. In all the other, you look here. Here's the scanner link that I was using. It was there every single day throughout the live streams. Chesco notifications, flight tracker. You can see everything. I put all the resources there for you. Okay, so you can see all of that. If you don't know how to subscribe, I got to do it myself here now. See, I got to join. Just click that. There's lots of things to click around here. So just fiddle around a little bit. You'll figure it out. Make sure you subscribe and click it again. It's a white subscribe button now. It's not red anymore. Subscribe, click it again, and then say all. Otherwise, you're not going to get the notifications. That's the problem. And then you complain, like, I didn't know you were live. And I'm like, well, hit the bell, hit the bell. Rochelle said, we are going to have Grizzly True Crime Bubblers. We have Manhunt Bubblers. If you guys don't know what Bubblers is, check out my second channel. Karine will teach you all the things. I know she's been the whole team over there, a little bit quiet, but it's the Manhunt, okay? We've all got Manhunt Bubblers. It's like a hangover. We usually have trial bubblers, but this Manhunt was quite something. So I will see you all again very soon. I wish you a wonderful weekend ahead. Stay safe, okay? Keep your eyes peeled. There's actually a lot of manhunts going on all the time. I don't know if you know that. I've seen at least 2 or 3 other ones that are going on right now all over. I've generally looked in the USA. We don't have one going on right now here in the Netherlands because people will ask me that as well. So Nicole is not on Twitter. It's exclusively on Patreon. That's where it is, Patreon. So I hope that you go check out Patreon. If you don't know what it is, go to my website. You'll find all the links over there. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And I will see you again very soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.